Hello everybody, it is me, Pacific, and this morning I wanted to talk about gun control. The reason? Once again we have another violent tragedy, and a host of people think that the solution to the problem is more gun control. Let's talk about it. First, Pacific does not own a gun. I don't have any desire to have one. I do believe in the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. And I believe that the government, little by little, is trying to take away the rights of U.S. citizens. When you start taking away the right for people to keep and bear arms, you have more control. Case in point, China and other countries. One of the things that has always made America great is the fact that we have the right to form a militia. If the government becomes too corrupt, citizens can unite together and say, we're going to put a stop to this. Now, when I define militia, I'm not talking about skinheads, KKK, and all the little hate groups out there. I'm not talking about people like Tim McVeigh that blew up the federal building in Oklahoma, and terrorists and people that just hijack our safety. No. What I am talking about is people having the right, when the government becomes too top-heavy and out of control, starts taking away our rights, then we need to do something about it. One of the things that bothers me is people like Nancy Pelosi, for years, led the charge of dealing with gun control. She has a pistol, and she carries it with her. And what bothers me is it appears more and more that these people want to take away guns from the common citizens, but have them for the people that are in power. Anytime you have that, you're going to have a problem. You have an uneven stacked deck, which could very easily mean for a complete hostile takeover. Let's talk about why I think gun control does not solve the problem of what happened in Newtown, Connecticut. And I'm sorry, everybody's emotional, and these liberals swoop in like a bunch of vultures the minute there's a tragedy and say, we've got to do something about these guns. And people who have no insight, people who have lost somebody in the tragedy, people who are very emotionally charged, they clamp all over that. It is a Band-Aid that doesn't work. It is like taking a Curad Band-Aid and putting on a complete open heart wound thinking it's going to do justice to the problem. If somebody is bound and determined to wipe out a human life, they don't have to have a gun. They could use an automobile. They could use any number of things. And the thing that bothers me about people is that they don't get what is basic to humanity, that we are all sinners, that we are all capable of atrocities and gross evil beyond what most people want to believe about themselves. Even that nice woman or nice man that's a nice neighbor and always so good, you push their buttons long enough, they could be pushed to fight back and to do something horrific. It's in every single one of us. That being said, even if you have gun control and everybody registers their guns, somebody could still break into somebody's house, steal that gun, and use it. Then what? Gun control does not solve the problem. Did it solve the problem of the hijackers taking airplanes and slamming into the trade towers? No, it did not. Does it solve the problem of bad drivers that mow down people every day? Does it? I'm going to say this again because American society plugs up its ears on truth. I wish my videos could get out there more. I'm not going to pay to promote them. But Americans don't like to hear truth by and large. You start talking about real issues like bad drivers wiping out people every day in America. The news doesn't even say anything. And the papers are stupid. They print a car accident and say, this person died, that person died. Why don't you put whose fault it was? This guy was speeding, this guy was passing people, and he lost control, taking out a family. Oh, there you go. Oh, and post his license plate too, so that we all know who the fool is. Let's talk about abortion. I have an atheist friend that I deeply respect and value. He is very strongly convinced that he doesn't believe any man has the right to interfere with a woman's choice. Apologize, I just woke up, viewers. Woman's choice begins in the bedroom, or the car, wherever she happens to be. It is amazing how in this country we have taken something and turned it around and called it choice, when in actuality it is murder. When people say, well, it's not a human life, which is complete malarkey. Abortion is murder, and we allow it and we sanction it, and thousands of babies are killed every day. The news doesn't talk about that tragedy. Newtown, Connecticut, I'm sorry, I'm not stepping on your feelings for what you've been through, but please allow me my right to pontificate on something here. Gun control is not the answer. We've allowed women to have heartless, callous, jaded consciences to kill their baby because of their selfishness. We've allowed people to become very materialistic, so much so that children are suffering as a result. The message that mom and dad in America are sending their children is simply this: things are more important than you, kids. We buy our kids things, we plop them in front of a television set. We don't care if they're in their bedroom playing their video games. Why? Because we're out doing our own thing and we don't want to be disturbed. I drove a church bus for many years in Duluth, Minnesota. There was a place at the top of the hill, Mesabi Avenue, called The Projects. My friend and I would go through there on Saturday mornings, knock on doors, ask the mother or father or the parents, if there were two parents, is it okay if your child comes and rides the bus to go to church? Oh yeah. You know, we knew better. It wasn't that they wanted their kid to get religion or find faith in God. It was like, oh good, I can do my boyfriend all week, live on a welfare check, and I can get my kid out of my hair for at least 4 or 5 hours. Sad. When we picked up those kids, they were almost unmanageable on a bus. Little guys, black, white, Native American, they're out of control. Mom drinks, there's no daddy, or there's 4 or 5 daddies, boyfriends. White middle-class Americans, caught up in SUVs, caught up in commercialism, caught up in television, caught up in showing off and remodeling and tweaking their house and making it their little temple to themselves. I'm going to say it again, Americans. What is the message you're sending your children? I drive a school bus yesterday, and I have been nice to them. I've played their music. I drive safe. I greet every one of them. Hello, how are you? Have a good evening. A lot of them don't respond with any kindness at all. We got a couple of Hispanic girls. They're very hard-looking, jaded. S-H-I-T-F-U-C-K. That's what comes out of their mouth. They're small. They're tiny. Yesterday I was dealing with a student who kept standing up, boy my size, would not sit down. He hardly rides the bus. I said, you need to sit down. Okay, starts smarting off. Right as I'm rolling to the last stop of the day, I'm not even stopped and he's up standing in the aisle. I said, sit down please. He wouldn't. I pulled the air brake. I did my seatbelt, had my yellows flashing, did not open the door, and I turned around and said, sit down. You're not getting off this bus until you sit down. Another girl behind him says, oh my effing gosh, give me an effing break, to me. This is the kind of stuff that our society is raising. Let me tell you something, Americans. You have no idea how dangerous it is to have 61 kids behind my back. At least the teachers get to face them in class. I gotta watch the road. I will tell you something, parents. Most of you don't know what your kids are doing. Some of you don't care. And then when a tragedy like this happens, it's blown out all over the news, and they jerk on people's feelings. Got to hear what the first responder said. Got to hear what the police said. Now we got to release photos of this. Now we got to talk about the nitty-gritty, disgusting, horrific details. And Americans go home and the first thing they do is turn on their God, the television set. When Americans wake up and realize they're not parenting, when Americans wake up and realize their kids are watching filth, trash, violence, getting online and talking just rude, smutty, slutty to each other, that teenage girls and boys are sexting. And for you parents that don't know what that is, a girl pulls up her shirt, shows her boobies, and sends it to the teenage boy that's a classmate. Do you know that? I've got my finger on the pulse with kids. I hear the conversations behind me. I have to constantly say, hey, guys, watch the language. Used to be, we could write them up if they even said the F word or profanity on the bus. Now we can't. It's gotten so commonplace that we're writing kids up every single day, and nobody wants to deal with it. Why? Because mom and dad and the parents and the adults talk that way now. It's funny, we had a bus driver lose her temper. I shouldn't say lose her temper, found her temper. I know this woman. I respect her deeply. She had a junior high route out of the same school I did, and this school has a reputation for those kids being just tough to deal with. The kids got so bad one day that she stood up, stopped the bus, got up, and said, you guys are driving me effing crazy. Kids on the bus got on their cell phones, called their parents. Parents met the driver at the bus stop, and the minute she opened the door, they're yelling and cussing and swearing at her. There was no allowance for her to be human. There was no allowance or tolerance or understanding of what she has to put up with. Because I'll tell you what, those same parents, if their kid annoys them, they're going to not only scream and yell and cuss at them, they might even threaten them or do things that are illegal. Needless to say, the bus driver was removed from the route. Why? Because the parents get all over that. She fails to be an example. We have no recourse when the parents fail to be an example. And these parents are all about their rights. I turned around and said to that girl that smarted off and used foul language, I said, excuse me, you can sit down and you can wait 1 minute. I wasn't even addressing you. I'm dealing with him who's holding all of you up. So sit down, show some respect. And as she's getting off the bus, I'm going to talk to my mom about this SHIT to her friend. There's just no reason I have to put up with this. Americans, when you took away the right to discipline, when you took away the right for parents to spank and paddle their children, not abuse, and you said that we're damaging their little egos, congratulations. Now the kids know their rights. They're entitled. They're stuck up. They're rude. There's a girl on one of my routes, dresses inappropriately, dolls up her hair. She dresses a bit suggestively. I've always said good morning to her. This is an elementary school route. And I've said hello, and she just ignores me. And one day when I was addressing the bus with emergency evacuation procedures or something like that, I had to, it was something that came down. She starts smarting off in the back of the bus and says, can we just go? You know, come on, can we get this over with? I'm a fast person. I don't hold kids any longer than I have to. I said, excuse me, who said that? Would you like to come down front and say that in front of the whole bus? Nothing. Never says hi to me. Finally, I looked her right in the eye one day. I said, good morning, ma'am. She put her head down. The next day she got on and said good morning, and she cracked a smile and said hi. I don't know if it's a trust issue. I don't know what it is. But these little girls are being raised to be little prima donna, narcissistic. The world revolves around me. As I get older, I'm amazed that the kids have no idea what's going on outside my bus. They have no idea what I'm dealing with all day. That I've got to watch 61 of them watch the traffic that's cutting in and out. I'm in heavy, heavy traffic all day. Viewers, let me explain to you how heavy it is. I have to make a right turn from a stop sign on a major boulevard. Sometimes it takes me 5 minutes to be able to make that right turn with a busload of rowdy squirrels. And I'm waiting, and the cars come, and there's not even enough of a break for me to whip that bus out of traffic, and I won't do that. I'm not going to careen that bus out there. This is my route in the afternoon every day. Wait for traffic, wait for traffic, wait for traffic. There were places where my route was routed to go left from a stop sign on busy thoroughfares, and I rerouted myself to say, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. I'll never get out there. I made it where I only had to make right turns or go through a traffic light. Why am I saying that? Stress comes down on me, and I don't mind it. I love to drive a bus. But you parents don't realize something. When you don't mold, mentor, and monitor your children, that's why school shootings take place. I'm getting tired of people just putting it off on everybody else. I understand that parents both got to work these days, but I've noticed something. A lot of white middle-class people work, both of them, and the reason they want a his and hers SUVs, it's all about selfishness. It's all about entitlement. Kids are thrown into daycare. Now, mothers, you single mothers that got to raise your kids, I am not talking about you. I understand you got to go to work and you're backed up against a wall. My hat is off to you. This is not for you. But for those parents that got $500,000 houses and $50,000 SUVs, one for him, one for her, and want all their fancy dinners and fancy stuff, and they can show off their nice little house and think that that makes their life complete. And they just give their kids more toys, and the kids are off in their bedroom looking at porn, playing violent video games, getting in chat rooms and saying F you to everybody. Do you know that's going on? Do you know that your kids are getting on there? Teenagers. And taking on adults in forums on YouTube and stuff like that. And you know what's funny? Some of them post their picture and they list the school they go to and all this, and I'm going, boy, is that dumb. With all the creeps on the internet, all you got to do is get a picture, then they say what school they go to, and this and that, and they could find them. Do you have any idea how dangerous your kids are living? Do you have any idea what they're doing on the internet? Literally making themselves a target and vulnerable because they're mouthing off and they're going to get somebody mad. They get into chat rooms that are for adults. I'm not talking sleaze chat rooms. I'm talking chat rooms where people from around the globe can get in. Some of these young ladies are going in there and seducing older men and then getting on cam and pulling up their shirt, stuff like that. I know this. I've had people tell me this stuff. Parents, I'm going to say it again, monitor your kids. What does all this have to do with gun control? It won't solve the problem. When people in America expect the educational system to fix their messed up, damaged kids, they're asking way too much. Teacher has 25 to 30 or more kids in a classroom. Give me a break. The teacher's job is to educate, not to babysit, not to parent. But now we've made them do that. We've let the public schools hand out condoms and teach them sex ed when that was our job. Not the handing out of condoms, but to teach kids the value of using self-control. We've got teenage girls dressing like sluts and whores, and the boys can't pay attention to anything but the boobs that the ones sitting next to her on the bus is showing. I finally had to segregate my bus. I don't let the girls and the boys sit together. It doesn't work. It is too much acting out, distraction. Even at times kids have grabbed other girls, and I've had to have a student kicked off for that. Mothers, pay attention to your daughters. Start telling them you're not going out of the house dressed like that. Of course, the problem is some of the parents are dressing that way too. I love these, quote, happily married women that are showing all their cleavage. Why are you advertising that to the rest of us males? And then if a man looks and comments on that, you're beside yourself. Oh, I can't believe you made that comment. Women, wake up. You know what you're doing. Stop it. For these mothers that are selfish and all about them and yelling and screaming at their boys and making their boys live up to a standard that they cannot live up to, not allowing your boy to be who he is. I'm not talking about letting them go down these dark paths, but dads too. They want to make their son a football star or a basketball star. Give it up, Dad. Your son has interests that are unique to him. Fathers, you need to realize the power you have with your daughter. A lot of these daughters don't have good relations with their father, and that just affects them for the entire rest of their life. Boys too, their mothers and fathers. Gun control is not the answer, folks. Parental control? Yeah. Taking a look at what public education is teaching these kids, that it's okay to be gay, that it's okay to slam Christianity and conservatives in the public school. I cite, was it in the Midwest or out east, just this last year, a girl wrote a very quiet shirt, it was pink and muted, I support Romney or something. One of the school teachers made fun of her, put her down, and verbally said some things that she had no business saying in a public school supported by tax dollars. Can't talk about God, can't talk about Jesus. But we talk about Ramadan, and we have Muslim sensitivity stuff going on in the classrooms all the time, and Islamic stuff. You know, I'm getting tired of people saying separation of church and state, but then we shove Islam in the classroom. What is that all about? The problems go deeper than gun control, folks. If you don't mold and mentor that child of yours, they don't fix themselves. When you infect your child with a virus, there's no antivirus except the following. The only antivirus is your love, your care, and showing your child reality, loving him with tough love, monitoring what he or she is doing, teaching them to respect other adults, teaching them appropriate boundaries as well. I am sick and tired of these bleeding heart liberals and people running on emotion that we're going to get sweeping gun control, and then we're going to use stories saying Australia had a massacre and they did sweeping gun control. Would the U.S. ever do the same? We're going to push, 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 and the media push, push, push. The media is stupid in America. Most people get behind the wheel of their car and they are stupid in the way they drive. I look at the middle class kids that I pick up in the morning. Some of them are as stuck up and rude as they become. They grew up in comfortable middle class homes. Their behavior, their attitude, their manners are deplorable. I pick up kids that live in less, social economically less neighborhoods. Their manners, their attitude is deplorable. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of money or a little money. It's all the same. The difference is in the middle class neighborhood, some white people might put on a little fake veneer and make it all look good. Whereas you get into the lower income neighborhoods and the F word and everything hangs out. But the fact is they're both raising poison. I also want to submit to you that these gunmen that are coming in and shooting up schools, so far what I've seen, they come from upper middle class families. Interesting. It isn't that troubled kid that's from a poor neighborhood. It's upper, white, middle-class families. Interesting. Maybe white people need to take a look at themselves. Maybe men need to start realizing they're not being male when they're just consumed with debt and got to have this big four-door pickup that they don't need. Or women and buy their $5 Starbucks every day and they're caught up in their house and have their little adult conversations, and they look at their children as if they're their chattel. Send them off to their room to go imbibe in more porn, violent video games, and antisocial behavior on the internet. No, gun control is not the answer. You take away all the guns from the citizens. I'll tell you what, I lived in Hong Kong. There's no guns. You know what kids do there? They grab glasses of acid and they go up into a high-rise and they throw it down on crowds of people. Burns their face off. It was going on when I lived in Hong Kong. It was all over the Hong Kong Standard, the Monday through Friday free newspaper that they hand out. Love that paper. It's like, wow, free paper still? They finally caught some perps. But Chinese are having trouble with their kids too, because their money in Hong Kong is God, or the money is God. They're all materialistic as well. They're teaching their children, if you don't perform and you get a A- on something, you're no good. If you don't believe me, go over there and live. I don't know how often it was going on, but Chinese people jump out of the high rises, men, women, and children, mostly males, jump out of the high rises when they get demoted at work or get a less than perfect grade. Because the Chinese have put such a head trip on their people, by and large, not all, that if you don't perform up to par excellence standards, you're no good. Teaching people that if you fail in this, that you might as well just end your life. It's very commonplace over there. A Filipina friend of mine told me that she was cleaning, watering the plants, and washing the window, and watched a body drop. And she says, "Hi, Naku." She immediately just called 999, which is their emergency number, and said, "Somebody jump, and I'm located here." She said, "I didn't want to look." It's not pretty. I'm not going to go into the graphicness of it. Sometimes these people jump, landing on a crowd of people below. Can you imagine the weight of that hitting a bunch of people? Gun control? Give me a break. You have to control the mind. You have to control what goes into it. And you have to control this. Because if a bunch of garbage comes out of here, you can control guns all you want. People can take their pickup truck and their car and see a crowd of people assembling somewhere and gun it and run over 50 people right now. What are we going to do to stop that? There's nothing to stop that. We don't do anything about driver control. We don't even do anything about drunk driving. We try to catch them with the scant police force in the U.S. that we have, but they get in their car and drive drunk, get a ticket, get this, and they're back at it again. Nobody cares about the drunk that wipes out a station wagon with a mother coming home from a PTA meeting with her children or whatever. That wipes them all out. And the drunk's back in the car again. I'm sick and tired of the issue of gun control. It's not the problem. It's not the solution. Guns only kill people when people use the gun. And when Hollywood models violence and glorifies violence, and parents encourage and exasperate their children and put such trips on them or devalue them by saying things are more important, or my pet or my SUV is more important than you, and parents are working for the almighty God of materialism, money, and selfishness, wake up, fools. That's why we have the problem. I am dead on. But nobody wants to deal with this. We want to blame everything else. We want to project it all on guns. And it's a form of liberals trying to grab that last bit of control and strip us of our right to keep and bear arms. I am not a redneck. And I know there's some people that shouldn't have guns. But they still have a pickup truck. They still have fists. They still have a tire iron and a baseball bat. And some people even have the means to make enough chemicals in their home to blow up an entire skyscraper. Wake up, fools. Gun control is not the answer. And I say fools because I'm tired of this issue coming up every time there's a problem. Hollywood offers a statement about the victims of Newtown, Connecticut. Spare me, please. Nothing is said about Hollywood's garbage and contribution to the problem. Nothing said about violent rock music and rap music to the problem. Nothing said about country music that sings about cheating on my girl, my pickup truck, and my beer can, and all their filth. Nothing said about all the problems that lead up to this obsession with pornography, looking at porn, being foul, ill-mannered, that some people live for put-downs. Let's talk about the father in Ohio. Was it Ohio? I think it was Ohio. He and his son, his 8-year-old son, came out and made fun of a handicapped girl getting on a school bus every day. That went almost viral. An adult teaching their kid to make fun of those that have some limitations? Oh my gosh. This is Pacific signing off. Gun control is not the answer. Get off of it, Americans. Let's start dealing with the real problem. The real problem is you. Thank you. Bye-bye.